Hey everybody, Pete A. Turner, executive producer and host of your Break It Down show with an exciting episode today featuring Bill Watkins. Now, first off, before we get into Bill, I wanted to say this. We've been slowing down a little bit during the holidays, trying to get back up to speed, cranking out episodes, but it's important to slow down every now and then. And I thought I would just say, I've done it. Maybe you want to try it. I don't know. Maybe you're a busy person like I am, and you don't take enough time for yourself, don't take enough time for family. Try slowing down a little bit. I've enjoyed the time. I'm going to get back to work doing what I do, continuing to work behind the scenes, improving the show, and trying to find that next great episode for us. So I'll be out there cranking away. But just again, it's the holidays. Try to slow down a little bit and enjoy. All right, back to Bill Watkins. Now, look, Tom Coyle co-produces, co-hosts this episode, and Tom's like, we got to have Bill on. He's a veteran. You know, we like these veteran stories. And he's also a fantastic leader. He's like the CEO whisperer is what they call him. And what he does is he takes business owners, CEOs, these type of people, and he helps them try to sort out leadership, but also lifestyle, and trying to figure out the balance between the two of them. And I just think Bill's approach to all of these things, the calm, the wisdom that he brings to the complex world of go, running a business, startup style, it's really fantastic. I want you guys to definitely, if you're in the mindset of trying to learn about leadership, trying to learn about how to run a company, if you're in a position where you might move up, you want to just go take a look at thelionspride.com. It's just not an endorsement in terms of financial. I'm just saying I've really enjoyed looking and poking around what's there, the workshops that are available. If you're in a mindset to like, how do I get better work-life balance? Bam, this is it. And that's why I encourage all of us to slow down during the holidays. Okay, one other thing to say real quick, it is the giving season, year-end giving for taxes and all these things. Hey, would you consider Save the Brave, savethebrave.org? It's a chance to help us help veterans with PTSD. I'm one of them. It's these for me, working with the organization has made me want to stay alive. It's helped flex my charitable muscle in a way that I find a lot of value in it. And so I'm desperate to help other veterans who've been in positions that I've been in where you don't want to continue, you don't want to go on. And that's what we do. We really dive in and find these veterans, build fellowship around them, get them working on service, get them out in the water to fish, and just see that, hey, you know, we are in this together. We can still serve. It's a different style of service, but we can get out there and do it. So support us at savethebrave.org. We're glad to put you to work too. If you got something you want to do in terms of time or whatever it is, let me know. There's always something that you can do to help if you're not going to do financial. Or if you are going to do financial, savethebrave.org. Click on the donate tab, put a small donation in. Okay, enough about all that stuff. It's the end of the year. Everybody go get them, and I'll talk to you tomorrow with a live episode and a podcast episode. All right, I'm rambling, so I'm going to shut up and say, here comes Bill Watkins.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
This is Bill Watkins, and you're watching the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Yeah, we got Bill and Pete and Tom all together about to hang out and talk, I don't know, leadership and all this kind of things. But I guess I'll let Tom. Hey, Tom, why do we have Bill on the show today?
Good question. Bill's in the show. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, so Bill Watkins is a 74 grad at West Point. Out of the year, right, Bill, right? Correct?
77. But I'll take 74. I probably look that old.
Anyway, so he's got this group, the Lions Pride, and a lot of us as grads really rely on his wisdom. He's had a lot of success in business, got into medical sales for a while, created a company, sold that company, been a successful CEO, and really has turned his passion into helping people, helping CEOs 10x their returns, and really working a lot with us, particularly grads, but really works with anybody. And really, if you're just looking to take it to the next level, this is the guy who makes it all happen, and kind of really helps you bring in more perspective on things in life, not just your professional, but your personal, and making sure you're tying it in, putting your right priorities in the right spots.
Hey, Mom, you did a good job, right? That's what Tom says. So I hope she's listening. Hey, listen, Tom, I just want to say, you know, our heart is for military vets. So, and our sweet spot are academy grads. We do invite anyone who feels like Formula One kind of acceleration in their life and business at the same time is the right thing for them. But I do say to development, personal life, business, we are to that what Formula One is to driving. It is not right for everybody, and you got to be ready to drink the jet fuel. But for the right people at the right time, we're the right place. And I'm honored to be here. We've hung out before virtually, LinkedIn and on some of our workshops, and I'm thrilled for this privilege.
One of the things, and you just covered it, we were talking a little bit off mic about, the 4-hour sleep cycle, and now it doesn't really work for people.
Mm-mm.
Everybody wants to be that person. They want to be the 4-hour person. They want to be the jet fuel drinker, but we're not, so I don't know. I don't want to say turn them into idols, but we have these passions for these things that are exceptionally hard to do. We have some kind of greatness in us, but you don't get to pick your greatness. How do you sort that out when you're young and your ego filled and those things look really shiny but aren't who you are?
I don't think I'm qualified to speak to that, because when I was young, and I am not young now, perhaps young at heart, but much wiser than I was back then, I was not that guy. So don't ask me to dig back to my past and show you what a rock star I was. I wanted to be on the fucking magazine. I wanted to be the rock star. And what I believed was all the Kool-Aid everybody hands out to sell magazines and blog posts and podcasts and all that shit is that show up here and I'll give you this magical 10-point step, and you'll sleep 3 hours a night, and you'll be rich, and you'll be the best father and mother, and you'll have a ton of friends, and blah, 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 blah. Pull the curtain back on these fucking people. Let them be real. Like, show me your bank account. Show me how much you earned last year. Show me your health profile, and I'll show you whether you're the rock star that you profess to be. And most of them, in my non-humble opinion, are bullshit. But it sells a lot of stuff, and it makes us feel good. I was not that person. My past is my past, and Dan Sullivan is bringing the productive part forward, which I have done. But I had a huge unproductive past where I thought I had to work 110 hours a week. I could be the absentee dad, the husband. I could do this. I could do that as long as I was doing this. And it was all bullshit. You asked me a question, and I'm ad-libbing about myself. Let's get back to your question. I think what's really important, and it's part of my 10X activator system, is that, which I do give away for free, by the way, so don't think I'm trying to sell anything on your show. I think part of it, the first step is self-awareness. Who are we? Where have we been? And where the heck are we going in our life, our little teeny life that we have here? Most people do not have, and I mean some of the biggest badasses on the planet are in our programs, or I've met them or whatever. They do not have self-awareness. And so what I want everybody, the listening audience, the viewing audience, whatever it is I think self-assessment, scientifically validated ones, not woo-woo sort of, are you a monkey or a giraffe and all this bullshit assessments, some real stuff that you get out of reading The Big Leap and a few other books by Gay Hendricks, drive you into a place where, and the book Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett is a pivotal textbook to this process. Get us to this place where we're really comfortable with who we are. You just said it, Pete. You said, I think it was before we went on the air, you said, we all want to pretend like we have it all, but we really don't. And that's okay, because we do have something we're genius at, for sure. Everyone that's listening here or watching has a genius level contribution to make professionally, personally, et cetera, and so on. Do we know what it is? I doubt it. I never met anybody that really did. And so I think that's the first key step to getting over this pretending sort of lifestyle where it's okay to sacrifice my health now and not sleep and be cognitively dysfunctional, pretending to be functional. It's not okay. I'll say one more thing. I may sound really critical, but I'm being critical of myself, because I did believe in all these superheroes that were out there, and I did think I was Superman. Shit, I was a West Point graduate. I was an Army engineer. I walked on water, at least in my own mind. And a lot of the people out there that we hold up as celebrity leaders, I agree with Jim Collins, are not level 5 leaders, the ones that make true impact. So I'll say one more thing. They're not bad humans. Matter of fact, they're great. We need them leading the charge. The question is whether that's you, and whether that's where your true impactful path is.
I like that. I really like that a lot. It's a great perspective, and it goes back to that whole thing of self-awareness. And so talk about how you got there in your journey. You kind of hinted out where you were. Can you go into like where you kind of got this aha, recognizing that self-awareness is key, discover your self-awareness, and also your desire to want to share that with folks and help them get to that so they can become their best selves.
There was one pivotal moment in my life that arrested me on August 14th of 1988, and it was a very, very, very dark night of the soul. But it wasn't like there was this pivotal moment on August 15th. It then took, let's think, probably another 10 years of evolution for me to mature. I think, life is a maturing process.
Mm-hmm.
We're never not where we should be. We're probably right on path. The question is, how painful is that path? How productive is that path? And for me, yes, it was productive. If you read my bios, holy shit, this guy's amazing. Oh, yeah, but you didn't read about LinkedIn doesn't allow you to put not success stories there. LinkedIn doesn't have a listing for failures. It has accomplishments, but it doesn't have failure listing. And it doesn't make for good reading anyway. But the truth is that anybody in my membership programs or anybody listening to this audience, they're going to know that, sure, I found success, but I damn well found it the hard, slow way. I don't have any regrets over that, because all these scars that you can't see brought me to this wonderful place where I am today. Could I have gotten there another way? Probably, but I wasn't looking for it, and it didn't hit me over the head. So, on the morning of August 14th, when I stepped out into what would end up to be a new trajectory for me, I hadn't changed very much at all, other than I had a little flicker in here that I wasn't going down the right path. So what was I doing back then? I was running a company for some German shareholders. I had just left corporate America. I was newly married and moved on through running that company until I decided to start my own business in the 1994-95 timeframe. And did launch that company in the bonus room of my little teeny cul-de-sac home right above the garage, and starved to death. Literally. Well, not literally, but food stamps and free health care and unemployment and all that stuff, because I was just one of those entrepreneurs who kept hitting his head against the wall. Fortunately, in 97, the good Lord gave me a miraculous customer, and kind of like the rest is history. And when I say the rest is history, it is not the golden boy who touched everything and it turned into precious metal. This was a hard slog for Bill to become. I don't know if I'm a world-class CEO. I was always fighting to qualify for that job, but I got pretty damn good. And so, we went to sale of the companies in December 4th of 2012, left behind a great team, a wonderful group of employees, and a really wonderful business that I believe is still running. I'm not 100% sure. Then that led me to tons of money. More wealth than my immigrant parents or my immigrant grandparents and my parents could ever have imagined, and beyond my imagination. So my estate was done. My kids and grandkids and great grandkids were well taken care of. And so now what? I'm 57 or 58. I love the backcountry and the wilderness. So I spent a lot of time backpacking that year. I was an interim COO for a friend of mine for a little while. And ultimately the realization was, I didn't need to win any more medals. I didn't need any more things to hang on my chest. I wanted to help people like you and Tom win their world, win their medals, hear their Star Spangled Banner. And so that's why I hung out the shingle for the Lions Pride in November of 2013. The rest is history. I'm not saying it's been a road of golden paved success. It hasn't been. I make the same mistakes, as experienced as I am, as most entrepreneurs and CEOs do, but we've ended up in a good place. I'm proud of how we did in 2020. You would think in my business, I'm disposable income for people, right? Disposable expense, shit's hitting the fan. Mm-hmm. First thing that goes is the country club, and the next thing that goes is Watkins. It's not how it rolled. People leaned in, they leaned in deeper, heavier, and they brought us their people they cared about. And so our membership doubled actually this year. And I don't tell you that to impress you, but to impress upon you, we're on a freaking mission to build a better world, one founder, CEO at a time. And if I have my preference, and I may not get it, that founder CEO is a military vet. I'd be honored if it was an academy grad. There's a special thing about military vets and academy grads. We're not better, we're different. And I love that difference, and I eat it every day for breakfast. And so if we can pour into the vet community who wants to build wealth and impact through small business, or I can help academy grads do the same, either transitioning out of the military or transitioning out of their corporate America job, leaping into a small business. And I define small by, say, $1 million to 25 million. You can build a great exit for yourself, wonderful wealth. Maybe you guys are doing that, selling a $5 million, $10 million, $20 million business. And so that's my sweet spot.
Because COVID does change things. I mean, I had a whole different business, Q1 through Q7
Right.
plan on what I was going to do. And I was lining up events, and I was doing all this podcast stuff. And then a world pandemic started, and it changed everything. And so, the bulk of my money went out the door. So there's a lot of people like me, right? I'm not complaining about that.
Right.
But that person who's like, I have to pivot into something else. I don't like where I'm at. Here's my opportunity. I've got a little bit of savings. They don't know how to jump off that edge, and that entrepreneurial grind, no matter what, you have to pay a cost, whether it's in time, something to get up over the hill. So what's your advice for that person who's listening right now, who they look at their own company they're working for, and even the company's like, we don't know if we'll make it out of this? Because there's a lot, half of the companies, a third of the companies are in that we don't know state.
Right. Well, I can reflect on two conversations that I've had, one today and one yesterday. One is with a CEO. It's not his company. He's working for the board and for the investors. And what we were talking about is this is a fucking grind, man. Dude, you have been on the battlefield. Are you not tired? Are you not out of ammunition? I have been with the CEO over the last 12 months, 18 months. And when COVID hit, the shit hit the fan for his industry and his company. And he was just telling me, he said, Bill, I am exhausted. And so I get that. I get people who wake up exhausted and they look out into their day, and their day does not look like it should look. Now, I'm not saying we're going to live in butterflies and rainbows. People like us, we want hardship. I mean, that's why the world trains us, because we do the hard shit that a lot of other people are not capable of, or they don't have the mindset for. So that's okay. I'm not saying you wake up and you have breakfast in bed and a little massage and all that. What I'm saying is that you're thrilled about the problems and the challenges that you're facing every day. Now, this CEO is not doing that. All right. So he's thinking, now's the time to trigger that opportunity that I had developed that I thought wasn't the right time. I talked to somebody yesterday who is going to make the leap in corporate America, got the biggest team, biggest division in the entire company, a fantastic company, and he is slaying it, right? It's not the grind that this other CEO, it's like he is the golden boy, but he's not waking up doing the type of thing for the type of people that energizes him. So why did I tell you those two stories? Because that book that I just gave you, Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett, was actually written for Stanford College and MBA students. All right, I got my freaking Stanford degree. Now what? All right. Well, Bill wrote it, and I forget his co-author. Awesome people. I met them a year or two ago. It was a pivotal book that I wanted to turn into a textbook, and I just give it away for free. Transitioning vets who contact me say, hey, I heard you might help me think through what I do after my military career. I'm not quite sure whether I have any value in civilian America. Of course you do, bro, girl. Read this book. And it walks you through a system that I would encourage all of your listeners and viewers who may feel uncomfortable where they are right now to use this analysis of, am I running from something? Or am I running towards something? What we want to do is make decisions about running towards as opposed to running away. The running towards becomes the magnet of where probably you need to be. Now, let me tell you another process to use. If you begin to get the entrepreneurial juice, come and show up for one of my free workshops. And I'd be happy to share the URL. I probably didn't think about this ahead of time. If you go to Lions Pride, I see you got the URL there. Look for our free workshops and show up for my one-page business plan workshop and my one-page personal plan workshop. Give you the whole template, the process, give you a video, give you everything. Because once you begin to dial in what you're passionate about, what you can get paid for and what you can do uniquely better than others, even if there's other people doing it. How can you solve that problem uniquely for a unique subset? I told you, I solved the problem of launching, growing, and exiting small businesses. And my sweet spot are military vets and academy grads. Are there other programs? Absolutely. Do I recommend them? You bet I do, to people who aren't a right fit for us. Are we better than in any of those other places? Nope. We're just different. So for the military vet and the academy grad, they might go, boy, that's my place. Great. Come on in. So here's what I want to say. I want you entrepreneurs out there to think through, how can I be different? How can I be unique? How can I solve that problem? And then in the second step, it's how do I build that dog whistle that communicates that value? Because it's not about Bill Watkins talking to Tom, who's interested in his development, and Bill talks about his background, and I did this and I did that. And no, I want Tom to feel like he's heard, he's listened to, and his problem could potentially be addressed by something or accelerated to a solution by something we do. That's what entrepreneurs a lot of times miss. People say, well, what are you passionate about? Oh, I'm passionate about this. Well, go follow your dream. Bullshit. I'm passionate about opera. I can't sing for shit. If I wanted to make a singing career out of that, I would starve to death. That's a stupid idea. So it's a combination. Hedgehog strategy is not mine. It's Jim Collins and Good to Great. It's passion, yes, so that you leap out of bed. You know, I read your guys' bios. Amazing. I would think that you are energized by leaping out of bed, talking to really cool people on your show, and pulling out of them the best for your audience. And you guys are probably world-class on it, which is what can you be unique at, world-class level. And then what do you get paid for? I don't know how you get paid for this. Obviously you do. So great. You're delivering value. People are trading hard-earned gold bullion and a few diamonds for that value somehow. And well, there you go. I think that's the start of the entrepreneurial journey, if that's for you. But you've got people here who are transitioning out of the military or corporate America to another job, right? They're accelerating their career. They're moving from military to civilian life. Same process, just different outcome. That's all. So is it simple? Yep. Is it easy? Nope. Is that why most people don't do it? You're damn straight they don't. And then they call me and they go, Bill, how in the hell did I get here? I say, bro, let's rewind the game film down here. Oh, you decided this. Why did you do that? Oh, I don't know. Felt good. Bad decision. Can you recover? Usually you can.
Are you really a fan of opera?
I am actually.
What's your favorite opera?
Oh,
Phantom of the Opera. No, I'm kidding.
What's that?
I said Phantom of the Opera. I'm just kidding.
No, he wouldn't. He won't say Phantom. He's a real opera aficionado.
Phantom of the Opera, good one. Very mysterious and a true love story of sacrifice and being a badass, but willing to sacrifice yourself on behalf of your loved one. Of course, military vets and you guys would identify with that. You know, that's the thing about, that's one of the reasons I push entering members into self-awareness first, is because one of the key DNA strands that we all share, especially if it's military vet or academy grad, is that we were trained to sacrifice. And to a certain extent, that's good. All right. We're the knight that will go out and save the kingdom and die on the battlefield, slaying the dragon. To another extent, it's not okay. It's no bueno. All right. I don't want to say this in a arrogant way, but we must put ourselves first, and we're not trained for that. And so, anyway, I'm living off of Phantom of the Opera, but beautiful piece. And yes, I do like opera. I am not an artist. I have not one artistic bone in my body. I love ballet because of the athleticism and the artistry. So I can appreciate those, but I can't do those.
You also didn't answer the question.
I think it's pretty, if it's good debates and stuff like that, then I'll get in my talking points and not answer your question. How's that? I have my team's trained me with talking points today. So I just,
oh my gosh, we don't do talking points around here. So, all right. So if I said, hey, at the Opera House there local at the bottom of the mountain, they're going to do Tales of Hoffman. Do you want to go?
I do not want to go.
Okay.
And I don't even know why. It's because I haven't heard of it.
You haven't heard of Tales of Hoffman?
No.
Oh man. All right. Now we got one. Now we're working. All right. All right. So All right. So how about the Marriage of Figaro? Do you know that one?
I do know that one.
That one's funny.
Very artistic, very funny, complicated music. So yes, obviously I'm talking to another fan.
I love opera. Yeah. And yesterday's guest was a guy named Robert Greenberg, who he's like Neil deGrasse Tyson, but for literate music, for classical music and opera, that kind of thing. And he's a wonder to have around. So yes.
So you're the Renaissance man, combat veteran, media producer. Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of different things, and I try to. I've had to, as I've gotten older, limit my hobbies, because you just can't do everything.
No.
What I do passionately, and if I'm not moved to do it, then I put it on the shelf when I do the thing that moves me.
Or you put it on the shelf and pull it down 10 years from now when you're bored with everything you're doing now, and then you can do it then.
Yeah.
Good.
So Bill, I had a question about, so you're on this journey and you covered CEOs and you covered just people who are like sort of transitioning to like another stage in life, maybe just another job or another opportunity from like military to the civilian sector. So
sure.
A different take on this is, have you ever worked with somebody who, okay, they're entrepreneurial minded, they've got a good vision, they've got a good idea, but they're probably not the CEO. Maybe they're a CTO or maybe they're a chief strategy officer. And like, so can you kind of walk through those types of discussions?
We actually have a program for number 2s and number 3s here because we recognize, I think it was Gino Wickman and Mark Winters who put together the crystallizer assessment. I think in the beginning it was called Rocket Fuel. That's the title of the book. I think it was the Rocket Fuel assessment. I think Mark changed it recently. Leaders and people. I'm not just saying leaders, into visionaries and integrators. If you imagine the Macy's Day Parade, there's these beautiful balloons floating down, I guess it's Broadway or whatever street it is. And if they weren't tethered, they would be floating up into space and gone. The people walking on the streets tethering the ropes are called integrators in Mark's vernacular, his lexicon. And the little balloon that's flying up so beautifully in the sky are called visionaries. I happen to be a visionary, and I'm surrounded by a beautiful team, a powerful team of integrators. A CEO is normally a visionary. If you analyze, a cross section of CEOs, key leaders, maybe it's the general, maybe it's the battalion commander, whatever. But what they need are their XOs, their S3s, their S4s, or their G4s or whatever, which are their integrators. And so on my team, I have 100 ideas every hour, which my team has trained me to dump into Asana, and then they slightly ignore most of it until we find those nuggets that they can execute on and that makes strategic sense. So, what do we do with a COO, a CTO, a CMO, a CFO? Is we develop their integrator skills and we develop their visionary acumen. So, a CEO, the balloon, cannot exist without the tether, without the walkers. And the walkers holding a rope without a balloon look silly. And so they coexist with each other. And what Mark and Mark's research and what Mark's principles and all his curriculum revolve around is this beautiful dance that visionaries and integrators at the highest levels of performance and success find with each other. And so usually most of our members that come inbound are wonderful visionaries, probably to the tune of 70 to 80%, and they are trying to be an integrator. And one of the first hires we make is we humbly suggest that they hire a virtual assistant who's an integrator for their calendar, for their inbox, for their travel, for a lot of other bullshit that they do that distracts them from visioning, leading. And then we will hire their number 2. Could be a chief of staff, a director of ops, a COO, depending on the size of the company. And so the careers are aligned, but the careers are concurrent or alongside each other. A visionary needs different things than an integrator needs, and vice versa. So the curriculum is very similar because the visionary needs to understand the tools in the integrator's tool belt, and the integrator needs to capture the vision. Like most founders of startups that successfully get past, that first critical 1 and 3 year and 5 year phase, they did it because they figured it out. They found a problem that they could solve, what I was talking to you about 20 minutes earlier. And they found that perfect customer. They blew the dog whistle and people came in, they got revenue, they got profit, and boom, they're going. But at some point, that organization outgrows their ability to hold it all together. And that's where we need to do the hire. But we can't lose the visionary. We need to capture all that horsepower the visionary brings to the team, all that leadership, all that, where are we going to be in 25 years? What's our big, hairy, audacious goal, courtesy of Jerry Porras and Jim Collins? And then the integrator, then the CEO or the visionary is damn grateful and damn effective at using their integrator or their integrator team to get shit done.
And to sort of follow up on that piece a little bit, like, and great answer, by the way, but I was talking more of like the idea of, okay, you get a founder and you run across these types, like, okay, the person's got a brilliant idea. They know where they want to go. They know all that stuff. But when it comes time to like building a team around that, they might be like, but like in terms of, they're not maybe the best person to be the CEO of this new thing, but it is their idea and that type of thing. So I was just like, in those situations, and how do you work with folks to sort of realize that, hey, you know what? Yeah, sure, it's your idea. You came with a great concept that's just cool, but you're more of a CTO, or you're maybe a chief strategy officer, or you're maybe you're this.
Okay, I think I get the question now. I'm sorry I missed it. Well, again, I think that comes from a combination of that founder. So that founder is operating as the CEO just because that's the way it is when you found a company. You're a company of 1, and then you're a company of 4, and then you're a company of 5. And I'm not talking about, Silicon Valley, VC, unicorn, raise $1 billion. I mean, I'm talking about the hardcore, I've got $100,000 to dedicate to this, and I'm going to launch a business. Honey, is that okay? And so I'm talking about that grinding entrepreneurial start, not the create a pitch deck, go out and raise $50 million and start that way. So we don't have budget to hire a CEO. That founder is going to be the CEO and going to be the CEO. As the company grows, then we're going to begin to discover, like, through self-awareness and then through team awareness, you started this football team and you played quarterback and center and you coached the team from the bench and you did all this sort of stuff. But what we know now is that you're a great offensive coordinator. We'll still give you credit for, starting the company, but we need to hire a general manager. We need to hire a quarterback, and you can't play all those positions from now on. Right. Now, so we do a couple of things. First of all, we get self-awareness. Then we create what in those free workshops that you're going to create, the one-page business plan. The one-page business plan then informs what needs to get done each year, each quarter. That's like saying we want to go to the regional championships. We're missing the world-class quarterback, and you're not it. Even though you're the founder and it's your ball and it's your bat and mitt, we're not going to get over there if you keep doing this. So we're going to hire this. That leads then to what I call A-player hiring, free workshop that you can have. Brad Smart pioneered that concept in his book, Top Grading, which fortunately I began mastering in 2006 after meeting him at a conference. And so now you get your A players. Now you've got self-awareness. You now know by creating a job scorecard who you want to hire. And so now you bring in your CEO with a defined job scorecard of what their contribution is. And then you create what I call the accountability chart, not the org chart. Who gives a shit what your name is, what your title is, and who reports to you? I know to you that's important. But in the world of getting shit done, it's not important. We create an accountability chart, which does give reporting relationships, but it now begins to drive performance. That CEO knows that founder CTO does this, and this. And that CTO, who's the founder, maybe the biggest shareholder, knows that CEO is responsible for this. And when they perform in those responsibility areas, this is how we know they're winning. This whole system can evolve where that founder can step away from all hats and then can take the hat that energizes them the best, that contributes to the company the best, that makes the biggest impact, and they can delegate then these other responsibilities to more appropriate people. Takes high self-awareness, takes intentionality, and takes a structured approach to bringing those people on the team.
No, thank you. Fantastic answer.
As people are trying to, again, using COVID as our framework because it is our framework. Someone's like, I've got to do something else. I'm late 40s, early 50s. I can't work in this corporate environment anymore. These guys don't value me. I'm tired of this. I want to strike out. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. I got some ideas. Maybe I'm going to consult back into the business that I'm in. But maybe I'm just going to get a franchise. I mean, a lot of the problems have been solved. What are your thoughts on someone who's like just not sure, but they know like they're not quite, they're going to jump off the cliff and they're damn well, they're not going to fail at this from a lack of trying.
No, I mean, there are definitely ideas that go bad. I mean, there were a couple of my own where I probably could have just taken a couple of $1,000,000 and walked out in the parking lot and had a little bonfire. The ideas did not work. I remember one in particular where my team was like, please don't do this. And I was still in the stage where I'm the visionary. I know what I'm doing here. And I did not know what I was doing. And I totally ignored good advice, both from my team and my professional advisors. So that can happen. But more likely than not, I would put a good bet your listeners and your viewers, okay? Because if they're the demographic that I read that you speak to, then they're good bets, okay? They have high adversity quotient, they have resilience, they pivot, they're learners, they're great executors. There's a number of DNA strand characteristics that say, okay, I'll bet on them. Now, someone who's leaving corporate America, as you were describing, hopefully they're not undervalued. That's a bad place to be. Let's go with the one that's, because then they might be running away from something. Let's pick the A player, okay, who's highly valued, like the guy I talked to yesterday. All right. Well, they're both highly valued. The one I talked to today and the one I talked to yesterday. Let's say they're both highly. Let's say he or she is super highly valued, but they're like, I'm ready for different. I'm ready for more of this and less of this. Okay. So what are you going to do? Or let's say they're in a military career and it's time to leave. It's time to resign or time to retire. All right. So now what? Well, I do think, I think your question specifically might have been leading towards franchising. I'm a fan. Okay. Now, I did not choose franchises. The opportunity I had didn't have any franchises. And I know a lot of people who have bought into franchises and are very successful. I know one down in Oklahoma who I think it was Quiznos or Subway or something, but he's got now 10 or 12 of them. It's just a fantastic business. The nice thing about franchises, if you're excited about the industry, and I do want you to choose an industry that you can be super excited about, is that you get a usually proven track record and structure. Now you're going to pay for that. But trust me, if you ask me what I paid for floundering around without structure and without experience, it probably was the same price. So had I been able to find a franchise for my little opportunity, I wouldn't have been smart enough to grab it, but I should have been. So there are a lot of, maybe it was Scott Mackis over at SABM. Maybe he had a franchise presentation of military vets who are offering franchises. And I think it was Jason Willscroft over at Ring Knocker who did the same. And I was in attendance there. I think I heard 10 franchise opportunities. So if that's what you're asking, I think it's a great option. Is it right for everybody? No, I wouldn't say so. Sometimes you don't want to be boxed in. Sometimes you don't want to lay out that upfront capital. Sometimes you don't want to be told how to cook your burgers or, how to make a sandwich, or there's tons of great franchises out there. I know one down in Florida, I think he's a West Pointer, who's got a fence franchise that you can buy, which for someone who wants to work outside in that industry, it's fantastic. So anyway, I'll stop rambling.
Well, that's the thing about Chick-fil-A. I think about this low franchise cost $10,000, but it's actually, they're very selective. But the thing that gets me, they're not open on Sundays. Like to me, like that's, hey, come on, I mean, that's the time I want Chick-fil-A, or at least, hey, I'll take Monday off. Can't I work Sunday and just get all those customers on a Sunday? How much I'd be the only Chick-fil-A open in the country on a Sunday? I'd make a killing.
Yeah, but you're not going to get them to bend on that one, at least for another couple of generations.
And they're better at the model than you are, like just follow the model. It's successful. They're always packed. We'll let Tom come back in a second here. The franchise thing too, it can be tricky because they're trying to sell you something, and so you're putting a lot of faith into their system, and some are better than others, clearly. But how does one who really wants to make a change, how do you sort that out? How do you not get lost in the dream and really make a decision based upon, what your strengths are without getting, because you're being sold something, I guess is my thing.
Well, I would like to propose to you that we do a lot of front end work that identify multiple solutions to the problem we're trying to solve. The problem might be I'm in a great job. I'm super excited about it. I'm well compensated, but at this point, it's not right for me. Or I'm senior officer. I'm going to be forced to retire soon. What's my next? I'm way too young to retire from life and business. I'm eager to make impact. What's my next? So I'm going to profess to you that there's a lot of upfront work that I would have people do. So we get a defined outcome of where we want to end up. And then what we find out is that the potential solutions to that problem, like here's the outcome, how do I get there? I think then we begin to identify multiple solutions to those problems. And I mean, whether you've done that in your military careers or whether you've done that in your professional careers or even life, we know that there's usually not one solution, but eventually after spending time in what I call our decision accelerator process, there becomes a right solution. Is it the only solution? Rarely. It's the right solution. And so franchise, once you go through that, franchise, like I need to get to something different and better. So franchise for the right person after they go through this process could be one of a couple. You might start a company, you might join a company and then buy it from the founder. You could go, I know somebody who's out hunting for businesses to buy from boomers who are ready to get out. But for a long time, he thought about starting a company. And then he ultimately decided he wanted to buy a company. Could he get a franchise? Probably. He wants to be in the solar business. There's probably solar franchises out there. He probably looked at it and said, no, that's not what I want. He looked at starting a solar something or other. He said, no, that's what I don't want. He wants to buy somebody's business. So, Pete, I don't think that there is one right solution, but there's not one only solution usually.
Let me push on this theme a little bit too, because I imagine your answer will be similar. But that person who's they're set upon the horns of the dilemma, right? You don't want them running away, but they know at this age now what they absolutely do not want to do. I do not like the way I make my money right now, and I make six figures, right?
Right.
But I have a kid. I got college. I got a house payment. And so if I risk, I'm extremely uncomfortable where I'm at, but that over there is so dangerous. I'm uncomfortable even thinking about it.
Totally. Well, I'm going to be preaching to the choir here because you guys have been in some very, very dangerous situations. Tom Colditz, General Colditz, was talking to us in our cohort about a month. He's been on twice now. He was talking to us about crisis leadership, about, well, what do you do? Colonel, what do you do? Captain, LT, Sergeant, what do you do? The outcome here is dangerous as hell, even life-threatening. So, and he was walking us through these decision tools that he studied. I think it was in Iraq, and then he published his papers and stuff like that. So, whatever I say here, I've not been in dangerous situations like that. Felt like big consequences, but not like that. So maybe I'm the green belt bringing to you what I think is the right thing. Let me rewind and tell you personally, here I was, a big rock star in everybody's mind, even my own. And, I was turning this company around, and I was so well paid, and yet I was unsettled. I was this, I had a big ego, and I always thought I could make better decisions than my bosses. And the ultimate guidance I got from my then dear wife was, you're such a pain in the butt.
Hey, this is Pete A. Turner from Lions Rock Productions. We create podcasts around here. And if you, your brand, or your company want to figure out how to do a podcast, just talk to me. I'll give you the advice on the right gear, the best plan, and show you how to take a podcast that makes sense for you, that's sustainable, that's scalable, and fun. Hit me up at pete@breakitdownshow.com. Let me help. I want to hear about it.
I had a big ego, and I always thought I could make better decisions than my bosses. And the ultimate guidance I got from my then dear wife was, you're such a pain in the butt. You make the world miserable for all your bosses. Why don't you just go be your own boss? All of us will be a lot happier. And I went, you're damn right. And I I proceeded then to jeopardize our family. I spent all our savings. I took out $250,000 in credit card debt that I couldn't pay back. We got food stamps. I mean, it was just miserable. So did the worst case happen? Yeah. Did I wake up on December 2nd of 1996 in a cold sweat because I had completely failed everybody, myself and everybody that I cared about? You're damn straight. So was it life-threatening? No. Was it debilitating? Yes. So for me, the worst case happened. And yes, it can happen. Here's what I will say. You must assess the risk. I love to go in the backcountry. I go out with people who do way riskier things than me. But for example, if I can die in an avalanche, I'm assessing risk. And, I don't intend to die out there needlessly and stupidly. So sure, I'm assessing risk. And sometimes the risk is too high. I'd love to go to that mountain, but not today. Avalanche is too high. Avalanche risk is too high. Or I heard there were grizzly bears in that area. I'm not going there or whatever. So sure, you got to assess risk and everybody's risk profile. That's why the Kolbe Alpha, the Kolbe A, Kathy Kolbe developed it, I think 30 years ago, scientifically validated for how you act in a situation. And the third number there is a quick start and it delineates your risk profile. I'm like a 10, I think I'm a 9. Okay. I hang out with 2s. We look at things differently. And so as you're facing this entrepreneurial opportunity, you need to, number one, know where you are in the risk profile because a 2 may not make the right decision at the right time. And so once we know that, we know the possible outcomes. I was talking to a CEO today. I said, bro, you are imagining you're swimming in the lake down the street and that the shark is going to bite you. There are no sharks in that lake. Quit thinking about that. But his risk profile is very low. And so we know what the outcomes are potentially. We've looked at that. We know what our risk profile is. And then what we do is we go get buy-in, especially if you're going to start a company and you're going to spend your life savings and get into credit card debt like I did with my spouse. All right. So we get buy-in from those around us. We get advice from those around us. And then we begin to make a decision. Now, I would love if people can make a beta decision. What would that look like? A side hustle. Don't go all in like I did. My father was so pissed at me that I was jeopardizing the livelihood of his grandchildren in what he thought was a very selfish, did I say grandfather? No, that was my father, in a very selfish way, because I wouldn't beta it. I wouldn't just do it on weekends. I had to go all in. But you can do a side hustle. You can try it out. And you can spend a little money. Can you get one customer who will pay you for the solution that you're offering? And then could you get another one? Are there more of them out there? So that's a soft launch. A hard launch is quit my job Monday. I start my business, Bill Watkins Incorporated. I'm not a fan of either if I don't know the person. I just see them as options.
Let me ask a follow-up to that, and then I'm going to shut up and let Tom ask some questions again. What keeps entrepreneurs, CEOs, what keeps them awake at night?
A ton of shit. I'm going to tell you what first of all, I'm going to talk about a general strand, DNA strand that I see amongst the badass high performers that I hang out with. What a common thing that keeps us up at night is that we have this little person with a loud megaphone in the back of our head saying, dude, you don't see it. You're not good enough. You're too slow. That was a bad decision. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, this is 2:00 in the morning. Tomorrow, when you get out of bed, everyone's going to discover what a poser you are. And that will keep a lot of people up at night. All right. It is something to kill and to muzzle that little person in the back of your head. It's all bullshit. Never true. But it is what we hear. And it echoes from about, I don't know when everybody goes to bed, but 10:00 until 5. There's this echo of it's all going to come crashing in any moment now. I just don't see it. Now, what are the other things that I absolutely know keep CEOs up at night? And we're talking about small business CEOs. Maybe it's common, but I don't hang out with corporate America CEOs. Making payroll, running out of cash, no customers, trying like hell, doing tons of shit that isn't driving revenue, isn't building profits, isn't adding cash. We're spending cash. Who do I hire? Oh, I hired them and they're a loser. How do I get rid of them? Shit, what's next? This was a common theme in March when we were all shell-shocked by the zombie attack. Zombies at the wall. What do? I had a lot of CEOs show up at our cohort meetings with eyes like this. And these are some of the badassest combat veterans that you could ever meet. You'll know some of them. But we were all there and it was like on March 9th, I said, fuck this, guys. We're going to fucking circle the wagons, and then we're going to let everybody know we're okay, and then we're going to lock in our customers, and then we're going hunting. Screw COVID. I'm not saying screw COVID like,
yeah, right.
Go
right,
get sick. I'm saying screw COVID is about let everybody else implode their companies. Now, I'm not saying I can solve restaurant problems and all that. I'm just saying the mindset of, yeah, this is a huge fucking problem. Nobody's ever had it before. Let's give up. No, that's not what we do. We're in a firefight. We're almost out of ammunition. What do? And we don't give up. That's one of them. So with CEOs, oftentimes the echo chamber of their head is bigger than their problems. And as you and I were talking before we went live, getting sleep, getting a CEO to go to sleep, even though you got all these perceived problems over here, dude, you got to sleep a minimum of 6 hours. They'll be there when you wake up, and you're going to handle them a hell of a lot better than when you do it on 2 hours of sleep because you were up sipping down espressos, worried about shit. Be concerned. This is what I tell CEOs. Don't use the word around me, worry, and don't use anxiety. Use concern. It's okay to be concerned. You can be fearful of a grizzly bear or the enemy with a sniper rifle, but don't hand me this crap about I fear this. You'll handle it.
Yeah, I like to say when I would take off for a nap during deployments, if someone had something to say about it, be like, I promise there's going to be a war going on when I get back.
Right. And I'll be more ready for it because my brain and my body will have had that nurturing, psychological, physiologically proven by scientific research jump to my system. And I promise you, I will be more effective. Now, there were times when you were probably out on a 36-hour mission, but you didn't do that day in, day out.
No. Right. Yeah, and actually, I would take downtime after those things. I actually had a commander teach me. He's a colonel, and he's like, I trust that you know what you're doing in the complex environment of out there, in Indian country. No one should worry about what you decide to do here. You know what you're doing. If you need rest, go rest.
Yeah.
We're not going to just lose the war because you're not here. It'll still be going on. Yeah, even the CEO, the company's going to keep going. You picked good people.
Right.
Well, there's a point of Richard Branson. Like the reason he has time to kite surf and do all those things, he always makes a point of saying, "Hey, if I know more about putting rockets into space than the guy from NASA I hired to run my company, then I've hired the wrong person." And you've put those people in places, especially when you're no longer the solopreneur. You've put those people in jobs for a reason.
Yes,
because they do whatever that is better than you do.
Yeah, and one of the key tenets about A-player hiring is we are not there to replicate you. We are there to complement you and accelerate you. So, for Richard, this NASA scientist is not there to replicate what Richard knows about, rocketry or getting to the moon or whatever. He's there to complement and then accelerate beyond what Branson knows about rocketry or what Branson knows about HR, or what Branson knows about sales or marketing and branding, whatever. I mean, I'm definitely not Branson, and I admire that guy like crazy, but I would say he's one of the smartest hires on the planet. People that hire because he's learned how to not replicate himself, which lots of CEOs do. That's a mistake that they make. They go, well, they're not visionary enough, or they're not tough enough, or they're not this, or they're not that. I've got one CEO right now who's questioning, do I have the right people on the bus? I said, bro, you so have the right people on the bus, but they're not you. And that's great, actually.
You know, and actually the thing about Branson, he brags about being the dumbest person in his company. And I think it goes back to that self-awareness thing and when I share this story with CEOs, a lot of people, they almost get like, oh my God, I can't believe he says this. Like, what does he say? And because I think so many people, they don't want to, it goes back to that somehow I'm defective if I admit I don't know something, rather than just like, I don't know how to do this. Like Branson's like, do you think I knew anything about cell phones or airplanes or space? Right. Absolutely not. Other than the fact I wanted to go there.
Yeah. Well, I was teaching level 5 leadership. It's a key part of Jim Collins's research back in 97. I think he published it in 2002. There's an HBR article on it. I forget the title, but Jim had his team, he asked this question, why, and who, which companies went in their industry from good to great. And then he studied, all those companies. And I was just sharing, my take on level 5 leadership, because I want to amplify something you just said, Tom. On Tuesday and Wednesday with our cohorts. And he found out of about 1,500 companies that he studied who were good, like top of their industries, only 11 were accelerated to greatness by a level 5 leader. Now, there were other reasons companies went to great, and he chronicles that in Good to Great and Built to Last. But only 11 companies had the jet fuel of a level 5 leader. And you know what? I bet you couldn't name one, and I bet you can't find one book on one except for the one that Jim Collins wrote. They are not people that you and I know. They're not Lee Iacocca and Elon Musk, and of course Richard Branson came after that. But they're not celebrity leaders. Jim also wrote a great HBR paper on the confusion, the mix-up between celebrity leadership and level 5 leadership. And so here's what you just said, Tom. You said that these leaders are willing to admit his mistakes. They don't want to be the smartest person in the room. That's not true of level 3 and level 4 leaders. Now, they're wonderful human beings, and when you meet them, you don't know that. It's all behind the curtain, and they may not even be conscious to their agenda. But what Jim's research showed was these level 5 leaders not only did not want to be the smartest person in the room, they would say that they weren't the smartest person in the room. And they would admittedly run around to their team and say, please help me. And they would hire great people. Darwin Smith at, Kimberly Clark. Kimberly Clark was famous. He was told when the board nominated him for CEO, he was told by the board members who dissented that he was not qualified for the job, and they would do everything they could to get him out of the job. He was there for 20 years. He was the most celebrated CEO in the paper industry, but he's one of the top 11. But when asked by Wall Street about his qualifications, he says, "Oh, I'm not qualified, but I fight every damn day to be qualified." And so I think it's this. What I was saying was, Jim says there's 2 components to level 5 leadership. Of course, we assume competence, okay? Because level 4 leaders are competent, okay? So what is the difference? Level 5 leaders have incredible, off the chart, galactic level resolve and resilience, which some level 4 leaders have, Jim's found. But what all level 4 leaders lack is what you just said: deep, ingrained, and public humility. And when you layer on humility and overlay that over competence and resilience, for example, in COVID, there's a lot of great companies that made it through COVID. Some the CEO didn't make a salary, and some the CEO made millions, millions, and millions of dollars despite the furloughs and layoffs of their line employees. And I don't need to tell you who they are, but they're there. Are those level 5, level 4, level 3 leaders? I don't know. I'm not studying them, but definitely a difference. Definitely a difference. And so all your listeners, can you learn humility? To a point. I think it helps that you've been raised that way. But I think Jim pointed out in his last Harvard Business Review paper article that there are ways to learn humility if you don't have it. Do all level 4 leaders make it to level 5? No. Can they? No. Can some of them and they don't? Yep. And so the challenge for our listeners and our viewers is and we're trained leaders, right? We're trained leaders. We were trained by some of the best places on the planet for leadership. But now we're in small business, or we're transitioning, or we're looking for a new career job. The question is, do you understand level 5 leadership? And if you do you want it? And if you do want it, can you get it? I think that's the challenge I'm going on 67 years old. I challenge myself every freaking day, whether I'm delivering level 5 leadership to my team, and am I the example to my cohort members of the kind of leadership that not only do I aspire to, but that I wish for them.
Yeah, I love it.
Impressive.
Do you have time for one more question?
Go for it, bro. The question is, because I'm putting your show into overtime, and I apologize.
No, you're doing fine. These things are great. By the way, I wanted to give an example of leadership. I saw this group of E5s and below. They had rolled their high boy Humvee over in Afghanistan, and with a ratchet strap and some strong will, they got that thing righted because it had fallen over. But there was no tree. There was nothing. And and it was so impressive that it got briefed at brigade about how they were going to be damned if they were going to be damned by that. And they recovered that. It was remarkable.
Yeah.
What are you chewing on right now that you haven't quite got figured out? I mean, you've given us so many examples of, Jim Collins' work, Cole BA, all that stuff. What are you working on right now where you're like, I'm not sure where it's at, but it's right here. I've got something.
Yeah, it's if I go too long, just pull the cane out and pull me off stage, okay? Because this is really important, and I want all your listeners and viewers to understand where I'm headed with this, because I think they may end up here too. All right. So as I told you, I'm 66. This is my 8th year at the Lions Pride. I have a mission of 10,000 founder CEOs to build a better world. And then I'm going to head out to pasture. One thing that I have owned, and I have told my first employee back in early 2014, is I'm not building Bill's guru lifestyle business. This freaking thing is not about me in one way. I happen to be the guide. I happen to be the energy spark, and that's okay. But this is about everybody who's going to get impact and contribute. And that means our members, our employees, our vendors, our 1099s, the whole 9 yards. So I said, what we've got to do is to fight the hell out of making this some sort of thing about Bill, where we put Bill on a magazine and Bill's on a podcast show even. Bill has his TV show and all this sort of stuff. It's not about Bill. It's just about what I've been able to curate, all my failings, all my successes, wrapping it up into a playbook, into a cohort product and a service that really badass high performers can benefit from. So if it's not a Bill lifestyle business, then it becomes automatically what I call a legacy business. This is a business we're building for generations. Now, my kids don't want this business. They got their own. They're set for life. So they don't want anything to do with dad's business. They love dad. They cheer him on, but so it ain't going to the kids. And who do I want it to go to? I want it to go to my employees. How do I do that? I don't know. Are my employees born and bred leaders like you two? But they happen to drink some Kool-Aid that became jet fuel, and they're all in. My chief of staff started working for me as a virtual assistant 5 hours a week. She's a mom, West Virginia, just a great woman, a great professional, and boy, have I seen her grow. And I think she's proud of that if you asked her, as is my whole team proud of her. So what I'm amidst right now, all right, is how do we not replicate Bill, but replicate Bill in certain areas, okay? how do we pull people into Bill's zone of genius in their own zones of genius so that Bill someday can step away and nobody even notices? Because the value that's being delivered is from the company, not Bill. And so this is what we're amidst right now. And then the question is, how do we structure this transfer of vision, transfer of execution, transfer of ownership, like wealth, to my employee base? Now, this is a very complicated topic. We're already on profit sharing, but we're not on ownership sharing yet. But I told my CFO, Jen, back in June, I said, Jen, make this so, because we're not waiting any longer. The zombies might get over the wall, and I want my team to enjoy that wealth. And so what keeps me up at night or wakes me up at night is my obligation to all my members, my obligation to this freaking mission that looms large in my mind, maybe small, in the real world. We're not a big company. I intend to be. But, how do we deliver on this mission? How do we, not Bill, how do we deliver on this mission? And then how do I transfer an immense amount of wealth to people that probably never would have had that kind of wealth had they not fallen onto Bill Watkins and his merry band of thieves and ninjas and badasses. So here's what I want to challenge your viewers, and then I'll give it back to you. Are you building a lifestyle business or a career? If you are, that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I encourage you, and I'll help you. Call me, write me, whatever you want. I'll do my best to help you. All right. But if you're an entrepreneur and you're not building a lifestyle business, but you're building a legacy business, you know what I want you to do? On the day after you incorporate, I want you to write your exit plan. Where in the hell are you going? What are the GPS coordinates for your wealth, your family? Why are you doing this? Because if you just started yourself a job, that's no bueno. Who the hell wants a job? Let's get a multiple on your effort. Let's sell this to somebody who's going to continue your legacy. You ride off in the pasture, or you become chairman of the board or whatever. But we're building wealth assets here, not jobs, for the entrepreneurs and the business owners out in your audience. And I want to challenge you that this is not an overnight decision. These are weighty paths to investigate. There's no one formula that works for everybody. And the sooner you start working on it, the more powerful your company is going to be, and the more powerful your impact is going to be on your customers and on your employees.
Well, that's just fantastic. Tom, anything in closing?
I can't top that.
Well, then that's the time to shut up.
Here.
Let me conclude, and then I'll give you back your show because I've hijacked it. I really seriously mean this. I'm here to impact 10,000 founder CEOs, hopefully vets, and if they're vets, academy grads. And I'm going to throw you two in that circle. And help does not mean I do tons of things for free. Some would call it charity, but it's not, because it's impactful. And I'm not saying charity is not impactful, but it's targeted is what I want to say. I'm not putting shoes on kids in South America. I'm not putting water in third world countries. I'm putting entrepreneurs out there, and I'm weaponizing them. Whatever your listeners and viewers feel is value to them is value to me. If you want to join our cohort, make an investment, of course, we'd love to have you consider that. But I'm not here to talk that. I'm here to help. And so I got a whole team waiting for you to show up at our workshops, grab our free resources in our situation room, write me, call me, send up a flare, send a carrier pigeon, whatever it takes for your audience to get value. That's how I'm going to go to my grave, knowing that I fulfilled on the mission.
I love it. I appreciate you coming on. That's just fantastic. And yeah, definitely, you guys should be reaching out, because he ain't kidding. Like, he really wants to help. And when folks want to help, let them. It's part of what does all of us good, is to, be of service to others. And gosh, what else can you say but that? Like, thanks for doing what you do, man. I appreciate you.
You bet, bro. All right, you guys. Privileged to now know you much better than I did. An honor to serve you through this podcast. I wish you an immense amount of success, equal or exceeding your dreams. And you know what I just said. I'm here to help, whatever that bring you value, whatever that means to you too.